Hey, Connie, how are you?
Hey, Scotty, I'm good. And you?
I am good. I have been shopping. I'm shopping for a sofa. That's my big thing today. I've got family coming for the holidays, and I need to replace that sofa and bring our other sofa up to my office. So I have it because it's a sleeper because I'm going to need the extra sleeping space. So I've been shopping, 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 and I like it. I like shopping. Do you like shopping?
I love shopping. I love shopping. And this is the time of year I shop because I have two of my daughters have birthdays in November and then Christmas right after that. So it's shopping season for sure.
Yeah, it is. And that reminds me, I've got some birthday presents to buy for November too, which I need to do right away because November is going to be here before you know it, in like 5 days. But let me ask you about this. Have you ever shopped for a car at an auto show?
I have not, but I think it's a fantastic place to shop for an auto for a new car at an auto show because you can see so many different models in the same place.
Yeah. And so I will say I do shop at auto shows and I think about, should I buy this car? Should I
Right.
test drive this car? I feel like at an auto show, I get the chance to see cars side by side and rule stuff out. Oh yeah, I don't know. The color looked good on the internet, but now that I see it in person, I don't like it. Or oh, this cloth interior did not look lovely, and now that I'm sitting in it, I'm thinking I really like it, that would be a shocker if I ever said I liked cloth interior. But you know what I mean? You get to test out or to see, is the leather as good as the leatherette? Could you live with the leatherette that costs a quarter of the price of the leather? One of the cars that shocked me the most when I saw it at the auto show, which only was last year, by the way, I know we were together, and I want to say it was New York, but it might have been LA. It might have been LA, was the Chevy Trax. Do you remember
Yes.
walking through that
Yes.
with me? Yeah. And the first time I saw the Chevy Trax, I think I had seen photos of it in a news story or something, and I couldn't believe that's what that was. And then they had it on display at the LA Auto Show, and I guess they had finally added the price starting at about $20,000. And I thought, well, that cannot be, for $20,000, it can't be a great car, right? And even, or maybe you start to add all the good things on, and then it gets really expensive. It goes like balloons like 35 grand, right? And so that's what I'm driving this week is the Chevy Trax.
Oh, nice.
And I can't believe how much I like it.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. $25,000 has heated seats. It has wireless CarPlay, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless charger. What else? Heated steering wheel, has a small sunroof, but it has a sunroof. $25,000 all in. I was just shocked. And it's
That
a
is amazing.
really pretty car. And that's a car that honestly I never would have looked at if I hadn't gone to an auto show.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're wondering why I'm talking about auto shows, it is because I'm excited to introduce our guest today, Jennifer Morand, who is the president of the Chicago Auto Show. Have you been to the Chicago Auto Show?
Yes, last year was my first, or this year was my first. So 2023 was my first time this past February. And I hope to go again in 2024.
What did you think?
That was a great show. It's massive. It's like one of the biggest shows I've been to. I think it's only second to LA for the size of show and the amount of ride and drives. And speaking of shopping for a car, an amazing place to shop for an EV because you can literally compare them all on the ride and drives. Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah. And we were there for media days, of course.
Yeah.
So we get a little preview and then prepare content so that while the show's going on, consumers can see what's going on and get an idea, right? So there was a couple of other things though that we didn't get to see. There's a big gala that kicks off the auto show on the Friday night, and then it opens to the public on Saturday morning. And they also have a 5K race inside the convention center. I think it's on that first opening Saturday morning. So people, because it's cold and snowy, and runners end up like doing a lot of running on treadmills in Chicago in the winter. So it's really nice to put on your shorts and sneakers and go for a 5K run inside the convention center. So I love all the cool things. It's the Chicago Auto Show. I might actually just call it like the Auto Festival because they always have so much stuff going on. And Jen Morand, I'll just give a quick little intro to her because she's somebody I've known her for a while. And it's been amazing to watch her growth, her trajectory from marketing director to president of the Chicago Auto Show. So without further ado, welcome to What Drives Her, the podcast about women who are changing the automotive industry from the inside. Please welcome our guest today, Jen Morand, president of the Chicago Auto Show. I am really excited to introduce our guest today, someone who has been a colleague and now I consider a friend, who I run into at various places on my travels. And it's so great when our paths cross and we can sit and chat because we are kindred spirits. We're both really focused on not only this great world of automotive, but also bringing more women into it and empowering women not only to work in this industry, but also as consumers. Please meet my friend, Jennifer Morand, president of the Chicago Auto Show. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Scotty. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So we were in full disclosure, we're also planning some things for the Chicago Auto Show, which will happen in early February 2024. And it's kind of getting exciting to feel the show and all the plans ramping up.
Yeah, it is. And it's so interesting you say that because it's like when Labor Day kind of passes, the light switches and it's all auto show all the time. But have a lot of wonderful things in store. We're already fully underway with our planning. And I'm very actually excited to announce that we have all the brands back that we had last year, but we're also continuing to add. So more to come. Can't share all of it yet, but it's really positive for the show. And I'm thrilled to see it come to fruition this year.
And you have a second event that you're doing this year I guess that's the first time you did it was last year. So it's the second time for the second event. What is that?
Right. So it's called Chicago Drives Electric, and it's an all-electric hybrid and plug-in hybrid, basically a test drive event and an educational event for consumers to come out. So we're hosting that at the end of this month, and it's based out of our office actually in Oak Brook Terrace, which is just outside the city. And so it's a little bit different venue than McCormick Place and people are used to at the Chicago Auto Show. But the idea is for people to jump behind the wheel, actually test drive the latest EVs, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, and compare them back to back. So we actually have a dozen brands that are participating this year, which is up from last year. We have about 40 vehicles for people to drive. And so the concept is really that they can register for a 2-hour time slot and experience as many vehicles as they can within that time slot. And last year we virtually sold out overnight. And this year we're ramping up to really look the same. The response has just been so overwhelming in such a positive way from consumers that they're just the knowledge, and there's just not a lot out there on EVs. And if you're thinking about an EV, there's just a lot more that goes into it than just purchasing a vehicle or leasing a vehicle like an internal combustion engine. You need to really learn about how it's going to apply in your day-to-day lives, what that means for what you need in terms of at-home charging or infrastructure on the go, all of that. So we're here to break it down for everybody.
So what was your experience like the first time? What did you think the first time you drove an electric car?
I was surprised to actually all the pick up and go. I mean, it's just the fact that, you think electric vehicles are slow. And I was very surprised to learn that they're actually very quite fast, or they can be. And then all the technology too. I think it just takes a little bit of time to get familiar with the types of technology. Just making sure, you're familiar with, the range. And, I just think the biggest issue for people to tackle is, that range anxiety. They talk about that all the time. But, if you're not familiar with an electric vehicle, I think it's just trying to understand, wrap your head around how it could fit into your lifestyle. And so, I'm not an expert, certainly. You, Scotty, actually very much are. but we do have experts on site who can answer questions, facility, which is ComEd. And then we're also engaging with other sponsors. We have cars.com that's going to help people just even find their search. So, it's our job to kind of bring in the experts and help educate the public. And actually that same concept, the branding of Chicago Drives Electric, came into the Chicago Auto Show last year, as you might remember, Scotty, because you were at our show, but it was in the form of a 100,000 square foot EV test track. A lot of fun. We had 5 brands on that track. Now, just to caveat, people aren't actually driving, but they're riding along because of liability and safety indoors. But but we are thrilled because we're going to be bringing that concept and theme back into the Chicago Auto Show as well.
So the Chicago Auto Show, like a lot of auto shows, has become more like an amusement park and less like a car display, which is what they had been in the past. They'd always been sort of these static displays, and now they're much more like an amusement park with these Jeep rides and Bronco rides and the sort of the F-150 drag strip, these crazy things. So what is it that you envision where auto shows are going to go from there? Because they become pretty entertaining. What's next?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So, it used to be that it was cars on carpet, and essentially, I mean, it was just their static displays, but you hit the nail on the head. I mean, our show is in motion. And I feel like I keep saying that phrase because the vehicles are in motion, but it's also all the different activations that are going on within the show. We had 7 indoor test tracks last year. That is quite a lot. I mean, we do have the space in McCormick Place. So, we're 1 million square feet of our show floor. So we have the space, but 7 indoor test tracks. We had 4 outdoor test drive experiences hosted by manufacturers as well. And so, really, you asked a question about where do I see the show going in the future? I think it's just going to continue to look like that in terms of very much experiential. And that's really where we're seeing that consumers really want to be, because it's more of an entertainment aspect. What's in it for me? If you're not looking for a new vehicle, if you're not shopping, or if you're not a car enthusiast, why would I come? Well, it's the entertainment factor as well. So I think everyone can get excited. We always see the lines form around the Jeep track. People rush into the show and they head right back to Jeep, and they wait in lines for, I mean, it's an hour or more sometimes. And I can't, for me, I mean, I'm the show producer, but to wrap your head around, it's like a 2-minute experience, but it's just like the amusement park mentality, like you said, and people love it. And so we're actually shaping up to we could even have more test tracks this year. I'm still waiting to see how that shakes out. So it's really exciting to see where things are headed.
Well, it is. The auto shows definitely have transformed. Another thing that's transformed is the product specialists, the introduction of product specialists. I mean, it's nothing new, but I do think there are a lot of people who have this misconception that they go to an auto show and then they're talking to salespeople. When they ask a question about a car, they're talking to a salesperson, but they're not. And so just for those who don't know, maybe people who haven't been to an auto show in a long time, what's that experience like when you have a question about a car, or you want to know something? Tell me what that's like.
It's such a wonderful experience because you're able to talk to knowledgeable people and back to back. It's kind of what I was mentioning with the test drive experiences back to back. You can get a wealth of knowledge. You can get very specific information on the vehicles and just really engage in a conversation with somebody who's going to help you navigate. If you don't know what you're looking for, some people do. Some people just have a lot of questions. And you mentioned that they're not salespeople, which is correct. They're not, I guess if you think of your typical salesperson, they're not trying to get you in the car today. They're just really there to help guide you through the process. And they're really helpful and oftentimes just wonderful people just to talk with. There used to be the former mentality of, the females like on the turnstables, and it's just not that anymore. I mean, you're seeing it's a hybrid of it's females, it's males, and it's just people who are really knowledgeable about their product and they're excited to share about it.
It's great too. And I one of the things I love, one of my favorite things about going to the auto show is seeing what all the product specialists are wearing, because they are always like on trend, so well dressed. You're wearing like the latest dress, the latest shoes, the latest blazers. I know some of them, they're outfits are sourced from Neiman Marcus.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and the ones from a bunch of the brands, they're sourced on Neiman Marcus. And then some of them really want to put across like that adventure sensibility. And so they might be more like, wearing, Merrells or, things that you might find at like an REI to get across that idea of like, you're going to be wearing these shoes and going, with that backpack and all the gear, all the equipment that they're dressed so they can do those things. They can put down the seats, they can put a roof rack on and those kinds of things, which I think is really cool to be able to see the cars demonstrated that way, not just on the test track, but how does it work installing that roof, or how does it work taking the roof down? And they can show you those things, which is really great.
Yeah, and it fits a lifestyle too. I think people like to see that. And if, I'm thinking Subaru, just when you were talking about, the outdoors, you can't not think of Subaru. And you walk into their exhibit and it's like you're in a whole nother world. It's an immersive experience. Like you're in, last year they had the national parks theme, which was super cool and engaging if you haven't had a chance to see it. But, you literally feel like you're walking into a different universe. And I think that just going back to that amusement park kind of, it's like a Disney World mentality of, you're being transported into this different world, and Subaru does a fantastic job of it. But yeah, I think you're right. Even if it's just, whether it's, it's the gear they're wearing, or if it's the kind of the style that they're putting off in their display, but you really bring people in. And I think that it makes a connection with somebody when they're trying to figure out what vehicle that might be right for them. And they really kind of get sucked into this. It's really a lifestyle,
Yeah. It's great. It's changed so much just in the few years I've been covering it. So I'm going to shift gears here just a little bit, because when I first met you, you were the marketing manager for the Chicago Auto Show. And then a couple of years ago, we got this surprise email. I want to say it was almost in the middle of the night, saying you were appointed president of the Chicago Auto Show. And so it's been 2.5 years.
Actually, it's been over a year. It seems like dog years though.
Oh my God.
It seems like longer. Yeah.
So tell us about your journey, and why you wanted to be in cars. Where'd you start and how'd you get here?
It's such a great question. And honestly, if you were to ask me where I thought I would be, I would not have said here. I truly wouldn't. Now, that said, I grew up coming to the Chicago Auto Show. So my family is from Chicago area. So I've come to the show ever since I was a small child with my dad and actually his father, my grandfather. And so I have such fond memories of coming to the Chicago Auto Show. But like we were talking about a little bit earlier, that show is very different than what it looks like today. And so I just never really thought about going into automotive. And then, it kind of one door opens another, and it's all about connections. And actually Dave Sloan is my co-president. You mentioned about, taking over. And so he announced his retirement, and we kind of worked out this transitional period, which has just been such a lovely experience because Dave has been with the Chicago Auto Show for so long. So to have his historical knowledge has just been a blessing. And then, but he also gives me the wheel and say, okay, I'm stepping down, and I have a lot of the creative, liberties and freedom to kind of put some of my ideas to life. And it's been a great partnership, and we've done a lot. It seems like you mentioned 2 years. It seems like I've been in my position more than just over a year. But I have a lot of I'm very just passionate about the role. I'm passionate about the industry. I always say about this role is like, it's like home. Being able to make friends like you, Scotty, when we met, almost a decade ago now. And it's amazing to see how far, our relationship has come professionally and personally, but there's so many others like that out there too. And I know you can feel the same appreciation. I just feel truly honored to be able to work with everybody I do, both at the CATA, the producers of the Chicago Auto Show, but as well as our media friends, our manufacturers, and of course our dealers. It's just such a great tight-knit community.
So what brought you into automotive? Was Chicago Auto Show your first automotive job?
It was. And so I actually had an internship experience right out of college. And I was doing public relations for McDonald's. And so very different. McDonald's very different from cars. And actually Dave Sloan, who I was just referencing, he used to work at this agency that I was at, Golan Harris, when he was back in his GM days. And so he got my name somehow. And so I kind of feel like it's all fate. And this was many years ago now. So I did an internship out from that. And then I went back to the agency world and again, did not work on automotive. I worked on the Got Milk campaign. So the milk mustache ads, did advertising. I traveled the country, did media messaging for Got Milk. So very, very different from automotive. And then it so happened that they were kind of expanding roles and shifting roles at the CATA. And Dave called again and said, hey, what would it take to have you come back? And, let me share about this new role. And they were creating a new role, which I was able to morph, which was fantastic. It was public relations, a mix of marketing, as you mentioned, and then digital and social media. And so that was really my background. And so I took my skills here back to the CATA, and this is where I've been now for more than a decade. And, so being able to rise up into this leadership role has been a blessing. And, because I have the inherent knowledge and I've been here, it's just applying kind of my background in marketing and digital to the CATA. And so I just, now I can't imagine not being in the auto industry.
It's funny how automotive can really become all encompassing. You don't even think that's something you want to do. And then you get there and you can't imagine not doing it, right?
It's so true. And I think it's such a dynamic industry. I mean, obviously it's ever changing, which is exciting. Certainly from all the product to just the lifestyle changes of electric vehicles, on the rise, and all of the technology that is just enhanced. I mean, continuously. I was at an event last night for one of our dealers. It was a Lincoln dealer. And I had the great opportunity of talking to two of their marketing executives, and both females in leadership positions, which was fantastic, and just had a wonderful talk with them. But just how exciting they're, launching new products. There's the EVs that on the horizon, I'm sure they're going to be talking about here soon. But just, it's such a dynamic industry. And I think that, to be a part of it now is key. And the other thing I've noticed too, I'm sure, Scotty, you've appreciated this over the years, is seeing more females in leadership type positions in the auto industry. And, when I started in the auto industry, that just was not the case. And so it took me a while to see if I even fit. I couldn't picture myself. I never thought of myself for this role. I'll tell you that. I mean, completely never picture myself in this role, because not that I didn't think I could do it. I just thought that didn't look like me. The people who are in these roles don't look like me. And so therefore I just thought I never could imagine myself. But so, it's really changing. And I think that it's really positive that, just having different perspectives, different leadership type styles in this industry is just a really good thing for auto as a whole.
And I think you're so right. When I started doing this, I sort of gave it a year. Well, I'll try it for a year and see if it's a fit for me. But I didn't know that it would be. Within the first year, I knew I was in the right place. I knew I'd found my home, but it definitely took a while. And that was when you and I met. And I'm going to say thank you for taking my call, replying to my message. Because when when you're an entrepreneur, you have to make a lot of cold calls. I didn't know you. I don't remember even, I guess maybe I found your name on a site or something, or maybe I messaged somebody else and they forwarded my email to you, but you messaged me and said, we want to do something to recognize women who are taking a role in the automotive industry and growing their careers. And so we had started a section on the site called What Drives Her. We were profiling, writing stories about female executives and leaders and others who are, just influential in automotive. And we decided to start the What Drives Her event at the Chicago Auto Show. So 2024 will be our 7th. Is that the case?
I believe it's our 8th year.
Oh my gosh. 8th year. Wow. And so tell me why you wanted to do something to celebrate women in automotive.
Right. And so going back to that moment, I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting in an airplane, And I remember sending you an email. Luckily the Wi-Fi was working, and I was just thinking about on the plane, like where could we really grow and where opportunities would we have? And you were the first person I thought of when I was trying to build this event. I knew I needed a partner, and I knew I needed somebody who saw the bigger vision and who was smart and a collaborator. And I immediately thought of you because we had previous conversations before that. And you got right back to me with absolutely, let's talk. And we just from there, I feel like it's just been kind of a wild ride, because I mean, truly didn't believe that it could have grown into what it is today. And it certainly could not have done it without your collaboration and in your leadership. And obviously you have many great connections in the industry. So that's been fantastic. But, this event has grown, and it's very unique. It's really a rare event that I don't believe many other like similar events like ours host something like this, at least to my knowledge. If they do, let me know. I haven't seen any like this. And I think what's special about it is that it gives the opportunity to shed light on some amazing females in the industry. And they can range from the manufacturing side to the retailing side. We just added this past year an award, or actually 2 years ago, rather, an award to highlight these women. And you had that idea because we hadn't done that in the past. And it's just such a wonderful way to just applaud these females who are driving our industry forward day in and out. And, it's just been incredible to watch. And so, it's grown. There's over 100 attendees that come to the event, and it's all during the industry days. So it's not public. And I'm still trying to figure out a way we can take it public to create kind of a bigger networking sort of, job, almost like a job sort of networking fair, if you will, at the auto show, but maybe that's down the road. So, but I've really enjoyed it because, it brings together, media, OEMs, third party suppliers, and all the industry people in for one common, cause and goal. And that's to hear from them. And I think beyond just the celebration, and you can attest to this too, is just the amount of knowledge and information and just the wealth of understanding, like I'm taking away from just listening to these leaders on the stage. And, it's also very much an educational event too. So it's been very exciting.
It has been. And we've had some incredible speakers on the stage. We've had some incredible moments at the What Drives Her luncheon and breakfast. We've started as a lunch and then ended up as a breakfast. But and then the awards were well received, and it's been such a great partnership. And I think you're right. I don't think there's another event like this. Every auto show has something that it does that's unique and stands apart from other shows. And it would be great to see this take more of a public facing persona for this event. I totally agree with you. I think bringing people in and putting them around cars, I like that. I like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's so many different opportunities available for so many different types of roles that, women, I'm talking about women because we're talking about what drives her in particular, but anybody who's looking to get an industry. I mean, there's so many roles. And if you just think about, opening up people's eyes to it. And I even had a thought of, working with the local Girl Scouts troops to bring them in. Maybe they can get a badge for coming to this experience, and just showing young women, even just young girls, just how many opportunities there are for them in this industry. Because I certainly did not picture myself in this industry because I just never was exposed to it before.
Right. And I think that there's so many people who say that same thing, is that I didn't see anybody there who looked like me, so I didn't think I would fit. And for us as women, that's less and less true now. There's so many more women, but if you're someone of color, if you're someone LGBTQ, if you're feeling like you don't fit in any of there's so many places in the world where we don't really feel welcome. And automotive should be, the last place where no one feels welcome, because it's such a huge industry and it needs so many people, especially people who are enthusiastic, people who want a good opportunity, people who want to learn and build a career. There just are so many great opportunities, and this is an industry that needs people. And that's the crazy thing. There are a lot of industries that say, Hollywood or whatever, are like, well, you can try, but we don't really need you. Right. But automotive, they need people, and they're actively recruiting. So I think we have more to do, Jen.
I think we do. It's just the beginning, right?
So let me ask you this, because you're a mom, you have 2 kids and a husband and a very busy life. You work full time, and that's a hard thing to split your time and split your interests that way. And especially now that you have this elevated role and very visible role. So what's your secret, or what are your favorite tips to doing all the things without letting anything really suffer?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think, a lot of times people talk about the balance at home, at work, or I don't know that there's balance. I just think you have to truly be passionate about what you do. And honestly, a lot of it overlaps. So I'll give you a great example of this. So I don't take many days off, but I recently, because of my new role, but I said, okay, I'm going to take off these 2 days to spend with my children before they go back to school. And we're going to do all the things. We're going to get all the school supplies and all that good stuff. Well, it turned out, which was actually great, but there was an opportunity to be featured on NBC in Chicago and talk about a great initiative that we were doing, a charitable initiative. And we partnered with the dealer to do it. And so it was just a wonderful story. And they reached out and said, could you come on and do this TV interview and share about this experience? And that was one of the days I was planning to take time with my children. And I obviously didn't turn it down. It was a great opportunity. But what I ended up doing was I brought my almost 10-year-old daughter down with me, and she got to be behind the set, and we did a day in the city, and she met all my media friends and the dealer who we were with. And so it was I just use that as an example. Not prepared for the questions you're about to ask me, but when you were talking, it just popped into my head. It's not this or that. It's really kind of a hybrid. And then I thought to myself, what a wonderful, enriching experience for her, whether she goes into whatever industry she goes into. But just to be able to see behind the scenes at a TV station, it's almost like a mini, externship. She did a tour of this, one of the top rated studios in a major city, and she got to see the inner workings of behind the scenes. And so anyway, I just share that because I don't, obviously everyone's busy, and, you can look at it any different way, but I feel honored to be in this role. And I hope that, my kids, they do say, of course, Mom, you're always traveling. You're, why do you have to travel? And I said, well, I don't have, it's not that I have to, and I'm making these decisions to do it, but it's because it's one thing is kind of leading to another. And I hope that they see that, their mom is driven. And so that it's just going to naturally, when they get older, that's just what they know. Right. And hopefully, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so I didn't know anything else. But I just hope that my kids look up to me and just see the drive. And I hope that work ethic, translates to them as well, which I'm sure it will.
Be the person you want your children to be.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's easier said than done. Always.
That is true. And I'm not always that person, but if you put it in that perspective and you just try your best. And that's what I tell my kids. It's just, if you tried your best, that's all that matters. So
Chicago Auto Show 2024. So give us the dates of Chicago Drives Electric and the main show.
Yes. So Chicago Drives Electric is going to be taking place this September 29th through October 1st in Oak Brook Terrace. So we just launched registration. So it is live on ChicagoAutoShow.com. And again, you must be pre-registered to attend that because vehicles and spots are limited. We want it to make it just a really good experience for everybody. And then Chicago Auto Show will be this February, and that'll be February 10th to the 19th. At McCormick Place. And then 2 days prior is our media preview. So we will again have a 2-day media preview, February 8th and 9th, with our First Look for Charity Black Tie Gala the evening of February 9th, which is a Friday night. So we are ramping up and we're very excited. And if people can't come out to Chicago Drives Electric this fall, like I mentioned, we're putting that test truck back into the Chicago Auto Show. So there's an opportunity to still experience latest EVs, hybrids, plug-in hybrids at the Chicago Auto Show in February.
That's awesome. Well, I will definitely be there in February. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Always look forward to February in Chicago and being inside McCormick Place and not outside in the weather.
Yes, exactly. I know it's the best. And we always say there's really not much else to do in Chicago in February. So everybody's coming to the Chicago Auto Show.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here with
Thank
us and sharing your story. I know you're an inspiration to people as well. And it takes all of us to put ourselves out there to let other women and girls, especially like your daughter, your 10-year-old daughter, to know that they can do this and more.
I appreciate it. I'm so honored to be a part of this podcast, and I congratulate you for getting this started. And I'm just so excited to see where this will take you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here, Jen.
Not only is the Chicago Auto Show exciting and innovative and different, I love all the activities and things around the show, like you said, kind of like a festival. But I loved meeting and hearing from Jen. She is just not what you'd expect when you think president of an auto show, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She's a young mom. She has elementary aged kids. She, has a traditional marketing background, an agency. She's been with the show for a while, of course. But yeah, it's exciting to see this new face of the auto business in people like Jennifer Morand, who bring a lot of modern ideas, a lot of just more relevance, and create an environment around cars that is really more like the life we live around our cars, as opposed to just sort of an old-fashioned shopping experience.
Yeah, or an industry experience. She's really made it very holistic, like a full experience, right? For the whole family.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot to see and do. And I think that one of the things that they've done too that is pretty cool is they have Chicago Drives Electric, which is sort of on the other side of the calendar. So that's how it takes place in the summer. And people can go out and drive electric cars and try them out and see what it's like to drive an electric car, which is a really different experience than a gas car. So I applaud her creativity and her innovation and thinking about what the auto show is. And it's lovely to see her. I'm so thrilled to see Jen rising to this level. And I know that she'll inspire more women to take that leap or believe that they could do this as well. And she's not alone. There are other women. Terry Tonys, who's the president of the LA Auto Show, is a woman. And she's not as young as Jen, but she once was a young woman, a younger woman than probably all of her male colleagues when she started running the LA Auto Show. And there are a few other women, but it's great to see women like Jennifer having an impact on the automotive industry.
Absolutely agree.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us for this, for What Drives Her, the podcast that talks to women who are changing the automotive industry from the inside. What Drives Her is a production of A Girl's Guide to Cars, myself, Scotty Reese, and Connie Peters, edited by Stephanie Howard, music by Imbato. Please follow along, click to subscribe to our newsletter, and find us anywhere that you find your podcasts. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.